All right, guys. So kind of cool. I was featured, or I guess quoted, in the New York Times today. I'll put the article up right here. You can see. They just published an article titled "For College Students, It's Summer Vacation. For Scavengers, It's Christmas," and it's an entire article about people who find products in dumpsters on college campuses at the end of the semester when students go insane, throw everything out, and then they resell them. Okay, so I'm among those people. I've done this for years. Now, I'll tell you what this has to do with the Wall Street Journal here in a second, because that's what the real point of this video is, to tell you a story that I've never told before that involves tons of drama about the last time a major publication approached me about doing a dumpster diving story. Ended very poorly, and it was too sore of a subject for me to get into until now. But I'm finally ready to tell that story. But for now, but this New York Times article that just came out kind of opened the door for me to start thinking about this again and tell that story. Okay, so here is the quote. And it often happens this way, where you talk to a reporter for an hour and they get like one quote out of it. So he says, Peter Valley, a software company founder, which is not in the top 5 things I would put in my personal bio. They're referring to Neuroprice, but okay. Software company founder has been selling discarded books from college students for years. To him and many other scavengers, college campuses are a virtually inexhaustible source of goods that can be resold. Then the quote is, my earliest success was dumpster diving at Caltech in Pasadena, he said. My girlfriend and I dumpster dive a couple $1,000s worth of books from the campus recycling center. That was a big aha moment where I realized that this could be a real business. And I've probably told that story before about dumpster diving at Caltech. Okay, so they reached out to me because they found this article, also put up right here, called Tales from a Dorm Dumpster, Confessions of a Dumpster Diving Amazon Seller, where I just chronicled some of my experiences dumpster diving at the end of the semester at various college campuses and then reselling what I find. Okay. So there's not a lot of things in this world I'm qualified to talk about. This is definitely one of them. I have been in more dumpsters probably than almost any human being on earth, at least one who's not homeless. Okay, so what does this have to do with the Wall Street Journal? Well, a lot. I almost did not do this interview with the New York Times, and I shouldn't say I almost didn't. I paused briefly before accepting the interview because of what happened to me. Totally congruent scenario with the Wall Street Journal about 5 years ago when they were doing an article on this exact thing, not on colleges, but just dumpster diving and then reselling what people find in general. They were doing an article about this. They found an old video I think I did on YouTube before I even really did YouTube, and reached out to me. Now, you guys, this story I'm about to tell you, again, I have never told it before ever because it was a very sore subject. I just wanted to forget about it. I'm finally ready to talk about it. This story I'm about to tell you involves seeing how fake the news is close up, get an inside view of like actual fake news. It involves basically an all-out war that developed between me and these reporters over the course of our time together. It involves me rage quitting the interview, them actually running the store. I don't want to spoil it here. And the end, I'm actually going to play you an audio recording that I didn't even know I had of me on a phone call with this Wall Street Journal reporter. So it's all here in all the scandalous, dramatic detail. Let's get into it. Here's how it started. Again, it's about 5 years ago. I get an email from a Wall Street Journal reporter, and I'm going to go in my inbox here to make sure I'm capturing this accurate. So I'll put some of these emails up as I'm reading them here, but I'm just going to read off my screen. So they reached out to me and I was like, yes, I dumpster dive products and I resell them still to this day. And the reporter says, thanks for getting back to me. I'll give you, I'll give you a call soon. Do you dumpster dive anything else other than books? This is a very important moment in the conversation. We're a few emails in at this point. So I proceed to tell her a couple of anecdotes about things I've sold from dumpsters that weren't books going back many, many years. Now, if you ask me today, how often do you find something that's not a book in a dumpster and resell it? Now and then, but it's pretty rare. It's mostly going to be books. So I was like, all right, just give me a call. We'll talk about it. Now, one thing about the Wall Street Journal most people don't realize, at least as of 5 years ago, it was the biggest newspaper in the country, possibly the world. Most people think it's the New York Times, actually the Wall Street Journal, or at least as of 5 years ago. I don't know if that's measured by, I know it's measured at least in terms of like hard copy, like print newspapers they sell. It exceeds the New York Times dramatically. I have to be mindful that anything I say to this reporter could potentially be in the biggest publication in the entire country, possibly the world. So it's basically like talking to a cop in a sense, right? Because you have no guarantee that anything you say is not going to be used against you, right? So before I got on a call with this reporter, I went into my Amazon account and I did something I think any of us would have done. I changed my store name. Now, the reason I did that is we're talking about dumpster diving. Now, I highly doubt there is anything in Amazon's terms of service that addresses specifically dumpster diving. It's almost impossible. But if you have an Amazon seller and the biggest, I can say whatever I want at fvmaster.com. I can say whatever I want on my YouTube channel. It's too small, too under the radar for anyone to care, anyone to like dig. If I'm in the biggest publication in the country talking about how I resell products from the trash, even though if that's not an explicit terms of service violation, you'd be reasonable to think Amazon might go, hey, we don't want this to happen, even if it's not explicitly against the rules. So we're going to go ahead and like shut this guy's account down, right? And so what I could not have is this reporter. I could ask her nicely, please don't share my store name. She's not obligated to do that. So I can't have this reporter knowing my store name and then doing a story about something that might get me kicked off Amazon. Can't do it, right? Any of us would do the same thing. Went to my Amazon account before this interview, before we got on a call, and I changed my storefront name. Really simple, right? Took 2 seconds. And I changed it to like, you guys know the bookseller, like Glenn the bookseller. I think I just like changed my store name to like Glenn the Booksellers or something like an S. I forget. It was like something that just like basically copied some other huge mega seller. And again, I was just gonna like change it back as soon as the interview was done. So we get on a call. We're doing a screen share. She's going inside my Amazon account. She's looking at all my sales. She's looking at my inventory. She's looking at my revenue. She's looking at everything, right? Doing her due diligence as a reporter. So I'm not concerned about really revealing anything to her that's personal because she sees a different store name, and I don't care if this gets published in the Wall Street Journal because it's not going to come back to me. Rather than shut my account down. And again, we're not talking about anything that I believe to be a violation of Amazon's rules. You just never know, right? You just never know. I'm just playing it safe. I think any of us would have done this. Okay, so the reason I'm spending so much time on this particular aspect of the interview where she's going to my Amazon account, this will feature very heavily into what's to come and the drama that was about to ensue. Okay, so remember, up to this point, we are only talking about books. I was very upfront that books are 90+% of my inventory. I don't sell much of anything else. This was plainly disclosed, right? And before the interview, she sends this email, which I'll put up right here. Do you dumpster dive for anything other than books? So at that point, I proceeded to tell her, yes, I dumpster dive for things other than books, but I don't necessarily sell them. And I was very upfront about that. So after the interview, we do the screen share. And this is where I should have seen what was coming. And I just didn't. I kind of had a little moment of like, oh, is this where this is going? But I put it out of my head. She said, you have an example of a food item from the dumpsters currently listed on your store via FBA. As an example, something from the Trader Joe's dumpster that you mentioned. So we had a conversation about where I dumpster dive. This will come up on the call as well. And I had, about dumpster diving anything that's not books. And I was like, I probably sold every category of item from a dumpster at some point. It's not big part of my business. And then at that point, she asked about food also in this interview. I mean, we were on the screen share. And she's like, what's an example of something that you would have sold? And I was like, Trader Joe's is like throws away the most amount of food of any place I dumpster dive. I'll eat the food from the Trader Joe's dumpster. I don't have any specific memory about selling it, but probably. Like if you ask me if I've ever sold food from a Trader Joe's dumpster, what are the odds? I'd say probably close to 100%, but I have no specific memory of it, right? So then she circles back and says, do you have an example of something like from the Trader Joe's dumpster that you found in your inventory? It's okay if it's in the recent past, blah, 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 blah. So I made a little Loom video for her where I went back in my Amazon account and I searched for the word trader. And it turns out I think it was like a bag of granola or something that had popped up, or a box of granola, whatever it was. Something from Trader Joe's that I had sold. Do I have a specific memory of it coming from the dumpster? No, probably that's where it came from. So I said, hey, I did a search on my Amazon account for the word trader. Here's what came up, right? And it was like fairly old. Okay, so we cleared all of this, right? She's doing all her due diligence. She comes back to me and she says, hey, guess what? Talk to my editor. Not only are we going to use you in the story, we are actually going to make you the feature of a mini documentary. She's like, we are going to fly me and a film crew out and we're going to follow you around dumpster diving. How would you feel about that? Now, I'm kind of two minds about this because I'll talk to any reporter anywhere for an hour. Not like this comes up that often, but I talk to someone for an hour, give them an hour of my time. They're talking about flying a film crew out, and she said it's going to be for about 36 hours. That's a big chunk out of my life. Like, do I really want to dedicate that much to helping these reporters get their story? What does this do for me? Really nothing. Now, I like the idea of getting the word out about dumpster diving. Like, I think it's something that's not just for Amazon sellers, but just like it's a practice that is should be more mainstream in my opinion. Like, there's so much stuff thrown away. It's shameful, and I think that it should go to good use. So I actually like the idea of promoting dumpster diving, but again, 36 hours out of my life to promote, it's not really worth it for me. But what kind of tipped the scales for me is that I was running a tool at the time. Again, we're going back 5 or maybe more years. And I was running a tool called Zen Arbitrage. And I was like, oh, this would be kind of cool to be able to say with Zen Arbitrage, like as featured or mentioned in the New York Times. that was kind of what tipped the scales for me. I was like, this is kind of, I guess, like good marketing, I guess. So I should probably do it. So I agreed to it. And so they're like, all right. So at this time, I just moved to a new town. And I hadn't really gotten acclimated to the town. I didn't really know like the dumpster circuit in the town I just moved to. But what I did know, the area I did know really well was the town where my mom lives. And I had a trip scheduled to visit her like 2 weeks in the future. So I was like, let's meet there. And then I'll be able to guarantee like there's going to be a consistent amount of book dumpsters around town. Like I know all the book dumpsters around where my mom lives. And there's like easily a dozen that I frequent out there. So this will be actually a good opportunity. This will be good. It'll help them get what they want, which is whatever footage they want and, you know, the material for their story, right? They're like, all right. So it was like a week, 2 weeks later, whatever it was. They fly in and it's, I meet up with them at a Starbucks near my mom's house. And it's this reporter. And it is the video woman. I don't know what her role is exactly. And then the actual videographer. So like the video lady, videographer, and these people are all like in roughly their mid-20s. And so we meet up at a Starbucks. And so the plan was to just drive around town dumpster diving. And, you know, the reporter's going to be asking me questions, like the print reporter. And the video people are just going to be filming everything. And then they're going to make a mini doc and do a whole story. Okay. So we meet up. It's at night. It's like 8 o'clock at night. They get off the plane. They meet at Starbucks. And the very first thing we do is they go, hey, can we, I want to like go deeper into your Amazon account and get a better feel for like the kind of stuff you sell or whatever. So we already did this, but she wants to go deeper. So this, like the very first thing that she says is like, after we explain pleasantries, okay, let's go inside your Amazon account. So fortunately, I had not changed my storefront name back to my regular storefront name. So I had no hesitation about showing her my storefront. So we go in and we're clicking around and like, show me this, show me how much revenue you did like this year, last year, going back to the beginning of time, show me what's in your inventory now, like just doing more of what we already did on the screen share. And so all that was fine. She brought up again the subject of food. And I have to repeat here in my own defense, and you'll see why this is necessary here when the drama starts to unfold. I was very upfront again that yes, I've sold food from the dumpster in the past. No, I don't specifically remember from where. And no, it's not anytime recently. So she's like, let's try to find food in your inventory. Now this is kind of, it's very, now I'm starting to see where this is going. I'm starting to see where this is going. This is a reporter. And this is the first moment I had this thought of like, oh, there's an agenda here. Like they have their idea what the story is going to be and they need to fit the facts and fit the content to fit their agenda. That's basically what we all kind of know how the media works, but I'm kind of seeing it. Like she knows food is not part of my normal inventory. But she's really fixated on the food. She's not asking me about books. She's asking me about food. So we go to my inventory and we're like searching for different keywords, and like you can't search by category, by product category in your sold inventory or your expired inventory, active inventory, expired. You can't search by category. So we're searching by keywords. So it's just like, you know, I already know there's a bag of granola. So I'm searching for the word granola again, like crackers. I'm just like thinking like what's different kinds of food that I might have sold, right? We're finding like cases of like little like gummy bears and stuff that I bought like an Overstock store. Like I remember just like a few things, but she's really fixing the food thing, not asking me about books at all. So once that was done, everything was fine, and she got access to literally everything she wanted access to. She's like, all right, let's go get some footage. Let's go dumpster diving. So we get in my car. I decided to start at a dumpster I knew would be consistent to get an early win, which is a library dumpster in this wealthy neighborhood near my mom's house. And we drive there, and it's full of books. And they're kind of asking me a few questions, but they don't seem to be that interested. I thought this was going to be like a big, like, we're all high-fiving each other. Like, yeah, we got some good footage of, they flew all the way out here. They're getting the footage they wanted of me dumpster diving products to sell on Amazon. I got Scoutly. I'm like showing them, I'm scanning everything. I'm narrating everything. I'm showing them what's on there, asking a couple questions casually, boom. Okay, so we got an early victory. So then we go to another library. We find some more books. We go to a thrift store. Not that great, but there's still some stuff. And they're really not that engaged. Like there's long stretches where we're driving around where they're just saying nothing. And after the third dumpster, they're like, okay, let's. They're kind of like, oh, so you mentioned you dumped, you sold food before. Let's see if we can find some food. And I was just like, I don't know where. I wouldn't even know where to go. Like that's not something I do. And she knew that. She's like, well, let's try to find something. I decided to take them to this Overstock store that I know sells food, but I have no idea if this is going to be successful. So we go to the Overstock store. Sure enough, tons, massive amounts of food. So they're really excited. They're lighting up all of a sudden. They're asking me questions. Like they're really engaged all of a sudden. And I'm starting to be like, okay, I see where this is going. Like they don't care about the books. They care about food. Huh. And because they're really animated. And so we get all this food and we pull over somewhere else. It's like not a shady alley. And we open it up to kind of go through it. Like, let's get footage of you, like, actually, because we kind of left in haste. So, like, let's get footage of you actually, like, going through this haul. And we found tons of cereal, I remember, like, nutritional powder. Like, we found a lot of food. It was actually kind of cool, because I didn't even know this place threw away food. As we're doing this video and the recording is me going through everything in the trunk of my car, I start to realize, oh, all of the expiration dates, it's all expired. So I can't sell it. So I kind of casually mentioned, like, oh, so, you know, I can't actually technically sell any of this stuff, but, you know, and I mentioned, like, what do you mean? Like, I can't sell it. It's the expiration date, it's expired. So Amazon won't accept it. And they're getting really bummed. They're like, oh, you can't sell it. So why did you take it? And I'm just like, we're here to talk about dumpster diving. That's what you guys want. You told me to go get food. I found food. Like what? And they're like noticeably offended. Like, okay, well, we need to find something else then, because this is not working. Like, if you can't sell it, that's not going to work. And I'm like, why is it? Okay. Like, all right. Like, they're like, yeah, we really want, like, we want to know it's something you can sell. And it's like, all right. So they're getting kind of pushy. And this is where things are really starting to take a turn. Like, I'm starting to really see where this is going, and I'm being used to fulfill an agenda. Okay. So as we're driving, I decided to take them to Aldi's, just because there's no Trader Joe's in my mom's town. So Aldi's is owned by Trader Joe's. So I'm like, maybe this will be fruitful. So as we're driving to Aldi's, I remember I start to realize I really don't like these people. So again, this has nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with like whether you're right wing, left wing, or anything like that. But there is a stereotype that exists. I think we're all familiar with it, of like the out of touch, elite Manhattanite media, right? Like people that are completely out of touch, that exist in their own bubble, and they have no idea what the world is like, and their sense of what's normal does not reflect in any way what's normal outside of the little Manhattan media elite bubble. Like, we've all, at least, like, whether we believe this is true or not, we've all kind of heard this stereotype, right? So these are, again, journalists from the biggest publication in the country, maybe the world, and they are checking off every box of the stereotype. And I remember we're driving to Aldi's, and they were telling me that the front page of the Wall Street Journal is essentially templatized. They were like, there's like 5 different categories they hit on the front page. One of them is like whatever, one is about this, one is that. And they were saying, they were talking to their editor, and that this article is a strong contender for fitting one of the 5 categories that's always on every front page of every Wall Street Journal. I forget what they call it, but it was like basically like the clickbait one. Like, so it's gonna be like Amazon dumpster divers, like whatever. Like, that was, they said this is a good fit for that. And so there's a very good chance that this article could end up on the front page. So it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So I was like, well, who had that slot? Like, the last article you wrote for that slot, whatever that's called, what was that about? And apparently it also did a mini doc with this person they did a story about. And I forget what he was, but he was like some successful business person. And I forget what the article's about, but they all started immediately making fun of the guy, like in a really cruel way. And I was like, and it was like in a real condescending, like I can be judgmental, but like these people were like ruthless. They were making fun of this guy because he mentioned in their interview or something that he didn't like when he would like go on dates with women, like he wouldn't pay, like he would always split the bill. Sounds reasonable to me. I don't know. I don't have a policy about that personally, but it's his money. Why is this? I thought we're in like an enlightened, 2000s era but they were just absolutely just roasting this guy on the grounds that it was somehow anti-woman or anti-feminist to make a woman pay for a meal. It was bizarre. And I had no idea what their logic was, but they were basically taking this angle that this guy was like a horrible person and hated women because he wouldn't pay for their meals. Like, it just so backwards. And like, I didn't even care to understand. I just didn't like the way they were talking about this guy who just made a personal decision that's no one else's business. Whether he wants to buy someone's meal is no one else's business. But they were making this guy out to be just an absolute buffoon, monster, demon, anti-woman, crazy person. And so I was like, oh, now it makes sense. Like, these people are like from this Manhattan bubble where they just don't know how insane they sound. So, okay, now I know who I'm dealing with. So Moving on. So we go to Aldi's and we end up finding a bunch of food, and there was one item. It was a case actually of baby food that had not expired, that was discarded. And at this point, I know the game I'm playing. They want to see me list something for sale on Amazon that is found in a dumpster, that is food. Like, that's the game I'm playing. I know exactly what the script is. They're trying to fit me into the script, and I get it now, right? They're not saying it explicitly, but I get what's happening right now. Would I ever in a thousand years go dumpster dive an Aldi to resell food? No, it never crossed my mind until they put me in that situation. Did I have any intention of selling this baby food on the internet, on Amazon? No. Was the baby food on the shelf in Aldi 1 hour before, and the temperature is 40 degrees, and there's no possible way this is like any bacteria has been introduced to these sealed glass jars of baby food? Is there any chance of that? No. But I knew the game I was playing. So we get in the car and they're like, so that baby food, you can sell that? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, would you? And I was like, sure, why not? Like, I'm literally just, they're directing a reality show right now, a scripted reality program, and I am just an actor in it at this point, right? Because I know what's happening. And I was like, yeah, sure, right? I'm just playing to the camera. I'm playing it. And they go silent. And I cannot tell you how palpable the change in mood was at that moment when I told them that I would list baby for sale in the dumpster. Now, in point of fact, I actually don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's not spoiled food, whatever. But the fact that I said that I would do it when it's such a bizarre paradox, because like this is exactly what they told me they needed, and then they turn on me when I do it. Right now, I hadn't listed it for sale. I had no intention of listing it for sale. I was never going to list it for sale. I would never ever, had no thought of it, and the whole thing probably wasn't even profitable for all I know. I don't even remember. I didn't even scan it. But point is, they are immediately treat me like the enemy. And at that point forward, it was like the nerve of this guy to sell poison food to babies. Like, that's kind of how they were. They didn't say that, but that was kind of the mood. So it's just, the whole thing's just so hilarious. So like they're literally manufacturing fake news, and then they get on their righteous high horse, all in the same breath. It was so funny. So we go and hit a couple more book dumpsters, and we're finding lots of books, by the way, and they are totally disinterested. It's all about the food for them. So it's getting late, and we're going to meet up the next day. Okay, so that was a wrap for day one. And remember, we have a whole other day left. I think they're flying out like late the next night. So we have a whole other day of filming interviews left. So my take so far is that I'm not a huge fan of these reporters. This is definitely a staged event. I feel like I'm inside of a reality show that's been scripted for me, and that's kind of where this is going. But obviously I'm going to see this through. So brings us to day two. I don't know, it was like noon or something. We meet up at Starbucks again. This is where everything takes a disastrous, horrific turn, from which there are no winners, all losers, and hilarity ensues. Okay. So again, we left on kind of a weird note, right? Baby food. So we meet in the parking lot of Starbucks. They get out of their SUV, and the tone is dramatically different at this point, for reasons I can only theorize in the moment up to the present day. I only can theorize as to what happened in my absence. But they get out of their SUV, and they come up to me, and with a very, very stern, sort of like disappointed parent tone, they say, hey, Peter, we need to sit down with you at your computer and look at a couple things. And that's all they said. And I said, okay, what's up? And they said, we just need to sit you down. We're going to go inside Starbucks, make sure we have permission to film. We're going to sit down, and we're going to have you go inside your Amazon account, and we're going to go over a few things. That's it. But again, that in and of itself wouldn't be weird. Oh, they just want some extra footage, like they missed something, whatever. It's the tone was so creepy. It was like a subdued confrontational tone. Like, hey, here's what's going to happen. Here's what we're about to do. Like, get ready. It felt very ambushy and very strange. So no issues, except, do you remember way back in the beginning of this story where I talked about how before our initial screen share interview, I had changed my store name, right? Like Glenn the Booksellers or something like that. And then I had never changed it back. And so when we went into my Amazon account, when they first got off the plane at the Starbucks the previous day, I had no qualms about giving them full access to my account because the store name was still a different name. But the night before, thinking that there was not going to be any more prodding in my Amazon account, I switched the store name back to my real store name. Now, this is where I'm going to tell you what I should have done. And I'm going to tell you what I did do. And what I did do is not what I should have done. So what I did do is the following. Well, let me tell you what I should have done. I should have just said, hey, look, I'm good. Before you have the cameras rolling, I have to go in and like change the store name because you're a Wall Street Journal reporter. I don't know if I can trust you. I don't know if anything that we've discussed has been in violation of Amazon's terms of service. So I need to make sure that my storefront name is not published in the Wall Street Journal. At which point they would say, you can trust us, it's off the record, blah, blah, blah. At which point I would have to go back and say, actually, that's great. I understand. I appreciate that. But at the same time, I have to protect my interest. And I have no guarantee, no like contractual or legal guarantee that you're going to follow through on this promise. So I need to then go in and like change my store name to something different so that you can't see it. There's multiple reasons why I opted out of that option. One of which is it raises a question as to like, well, what do you have why are you changing your store name? Like, what are you doing? Like, they don't understand Amazon terms of service. They don't understand how many Amazon sellers get their account shut down. It would have opened up this whole conversation about what is there to be concerned about when the answer is nothing specific, but I don't know. I don't want my storefront name in the Wall Street Journal, period. That's, I think, and again, any of us would feel the same way, right? So it would get this whole awkward conversation about, well, hey, listen, I trust you, but I don't trust you. And like, it's this whole thing, right? So that's why I didn't take that option. The straightforward, like, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not comfortable with this option. Or like, give me a minute to go change my store name option. What I did do was, oh yeah, sure. Let's sit down and film. Oh, by the way, just real quick, I'm just going to run to the restroom really quick. So my plan was, and this is what I did do. I went in the bathroom at Starbucks. And again, they're sitting outside. They're getting set up. They have like all of like 3 minutes before this starts to get really, really awkward. Before they start to think I have something to hide, right? So I'm in the bathroom, I lock the door, and I immediately go on my Amazon account and I try to change the storefront name, right? I thought this would be really simple. I couldn't figure it out. Apparently you can't do it on your mobile or I don't know what, but I just couldn't figure it out. So now we're like 3 minutes in and it's getting really awkward. Like I'm just like, oh yeah, I'm going to duck in the restroom, I'll be right back. And I'm like, I can't change the storefront name. So now I'm in pretty deep at this point. I had this light bulb moment. Oh, I know who to call. I mentioned earlier, I was running a tool at the time called Zen Arbitrage. So Zen Arbitrage, our lead developer, was also an old friend of mine. I've known him for over 15 years. He had root level access to my Amazon account, admin access. He's also one of those people that we can kind of finish each other's sentences to a degree. I don't know if you guys have any friends like this, but I feel like it's a really underrated friend trait where you have somebody where you can say a few words and they'll fill in the gaps and they won't ask a lot of questions. They won't be difficult. They'll just do what is asked of them and then get the details later. So for an example, might be like, let's say, I don't know, like let's say I'm in like a line at a coffee shop with like a female friend. And we get up to the front and we're next in line and I see someone behind the counter that I don't expect to be there who's working the counter. This is a weird example. I lean over the friend. I'm like, for the next 30 seconds, you are my girlfriend. You live in Australia. I'll explain it later. And then they instantly just say no more. Now, what 99% of people do is they go, I'm your girlfriend from Australia. What are you talking about? That's weird. What do you mean? What girlfriend? How do I do? They become difficult, right? That's literally 99% of people. But there's that 1% that's just like instantly like, say no more. So I knew he's one of those people. So I call him up. I'm like, dude, I have literally 30 seconds before my life is over. I'm not going to elaborate. I need you immediately to go inside my Amazon account and change the password. Just immediately change the password. Don't do anything else. Just change the password so that I am unable to log into my own Amazon account. Number one. Number two, I will probably call you in about 2 minutes. I need you to answer the phone and just play along with whatever I say. And I need you to play the role of somebody who changed the password of my Amazon account without my knowledge, come up with a good excuse for that, and this will all be recorded, and I need you to just play along. And again, 99% of people would fumble that. 99.9. He immediately was like, say no more, done. hang up. You might be wondering, why did I not just ask him to change my seller name? The reason is I felt like at this point I had like 90 seconds, right? Like I had to get out of the restroom. The cameras are rolling. They're going to sit me down on my Amazon account and the cameras are going to be rolling. I don't have time to like walk him through. Here's how you change the Amazon seller store name, because there's a little bit of a process. And also, I'm not confident that it's reflected immediately. There might be some latency where you change your store name and then like it doesn't go live for like an hour later. Like I needed all this to happen in under 2 minutes. So I was like, I decided what made the most sense is if I just get locked out of my Amazon account, then I plausibly can't go in, and then I can have time. That buys me time to like, oh, we'll do this later, and then I'll have time to go change my storefront name, right? So hopefully all this makes sense. I'm in full agreement that it would have been, especially in retrospect, better if I had just been straight shooter with them, but I didn't want to have that conversation. So I get out of the bathroom, and I'm still trying to stall because I need to give him time to like change my Amazon password. So I like, oh, let me go get a drink. I go to drink. I come back, and they are the tone here is very intense. They're like, okay, we're ready. We're ready to film your Amazon account. We need you to open your Amazon account, and right now. And they have the camera set up, and the tone is very awkward. You might be wondering, as I was in that moment, what exactly is the problem here? Like, what happened between the night before and now? Why do they need to go on my Amazon account? I have a couple of theories. I won't bore you with all of them, but I think the theory that makes the most sense to me is that they had my storefront name from the previous, again, they've been in my account twice at this point. They had my storefront name, and when they went to look it up again, maybe at the hotel room the night before, they found the storefront name didn't exist anymore because I changed it back to my real name, right? So my theory was that that made them concerned that like my account would like something. It just raised concerns. Like, well, why was that account? Did that account exist before and not now? When it still exists, of course, but it's just a different name. They couldn't find it. So that was my best theory. I don't really know. It could also have been something as simple as at that point they had decided that I was a little bit oppositional. Like I wasn't going to give them what they wanted. So they wanted to go to my Amazon account and find more examples of food and try to have like a gotcha moment on camera, like where they're filming me and there's the food that I've sold and there's the storefront name and there's me talking about selling food from a dumpster. And I think maybe they wanted like a gotcha moment. That's kind of my distant second theory. But they were really intense about it. Like it wasn't friendly at all. We sit down, we're in Starbucks, the camera's rolling, and which I'm also like, why does the camera need to be rolling? That's weird. Like that in of itself was very weird. That's what actually made me think this is really a gotcha moment. This is a gotcha journalism ambush moment, and I'm in a reality show, and this is the ambush scene. Because otherwise, why do you need a camera rolling if you just want to like fact check something? It's so weird. So I go to log in, and I'm just like, I'm not kidding. When I hit the like login button, it was like slow motion. I was like, please, 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 my developer, please have changed my password. Password incorrect. Okay. Password incorrect. So they're all filming this and like, what's going on? I'm like, it says password incorrect. And I'm like, that's weird. I go to log in again. They're like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'm pretending like to not know. And then I was like, oh, I pretend to have this like light bulb moment. Like, oh, well, my developer, we were like testing a new like Chrome extension for my online arbitrage tool. And he warned me that he's going to have to like do some stuff on my account. So maybe it's related to that. And she's like, well, why don't you just do the 2-factor authentication? And I was like, oh, well, that goes to his phone because he's the developer. So and I'm just like, none of this is really, it's not the best story. But anyway, I think I can smooth this over by just getting him on speaker and assuming he plays the role right that I told him to. They should probably alleviate whatever weird theories they're developing right now. So I call him on speaker, and I was like, hey, Alex, hey, did you do something with my Amazon account? Did you change the password? And he's like, oh yeah, sorry about that. Why? And I was like, oh, because I need to log in. I'm actually here with the Wall Street Journal right now. I need to log in my Amazon account. And he's like, oh man. And this is where I'm like, what's he gonna say? Because we didn't have time to script this out. I was like, what's he gonna say? And he's like, dude, I'm literally halfway to Vegas right now from LA. I'm halfway to Vegas, and my business phone that goes to is back home. So like, I can't even get you the 2-factor authentication. And I was like, dude, are you kidding? I was like, I really need access to my account. They're like, he's like, I can't, I don't know what to do. I'm in Vegas. And I was like, how far away are you? And he's like, pretty far. And I was like, oh. well, when are you going to be back? And he's like, oh yeah, that's what he said. He was like, he's like, maybe tonight, but probably not until tomorrow. Because he doesn't know what I want to hear. He doesn't know what answer I want. So he's like, maybe later, but probably tomorrow. And I was like, dude, please let me know if you decide to come back tonight, because I really need to get on my Amazon account. And he's like, all right, cool. Hang up. So he pulled it off flawlessly, like I knew he would. So at that point, I'm just like, hey, sorry, we'll deal with it later when he gets home. So I just said, and the other thing I left out was when my developer, because he didn't know what I wanted to hear, one of the things he said was, well, hey, I have a roommate, so let me just like call him and see if he can actually get access to my business phone so I can get you the 2-factor authentication code. You can get into your account. That's kind of where it left off. And so hang up the phone and then just stare me down. And I was like, let's just wait and see if his roommate comes through. So they're like, okay. And they're just like really huffy and they're all looking at each other. And it's as awkward as it can get. So I was like, all right, well, what now? And I'm getting increasingly frustrated with them because this is a completely plausible scenario. My developer would frequently have to go in and like do weird things to my Amazon account in order to test things or whatever. So this is not an implausible scenario. It happens to be a little white lie in the moment, but it's not an implausible scenario. And they're treating this like there's some big grand deception that's being played on them. So I don't like this at all. I don't like their attitude. I don't like their sense of entitlement. I don't like any of it, right? I feel like I'm doing them the favor. Like all I'm getting out of this really is out of, 36 hours of my life, I'm getting like a little shout out, for like Zen Arbitrage or something. Like I am not getting much out of this at all. This is all material for their story. This is their career. Really, they don't have any leverage here. So I'm ready to walk away at any moment, but they don't know that. So they're like, all right, when do you think his roommate's going to call? And I'm like, you heard the call. I don't know. Let's move on. And so they're like, and they're just getting huffy. And like, so again, I'm like, all right, well, moving on. What do you have planned for today? Like, what else do you need? Are we done? Like, what's up? And so they're like, well, I guess we can get more footage of you getting books while we wait for your developer to call. Like, apparently this is just like, everything's hinging on them getting into my account, which I'm already at this point. Like, I don't feel like they're even owed that at this point. So I'm ready to just walk away. But so we go to the college library dumpster, another place that I know is going to be full of books, always is. And of course it is. So we go there, and this is the first dumpster where I'm actually finding books that have like significant value. Like we were dumpster diving. We went to a half dozen places or something the day before, but I'm actually pulling out books that are like $50, $60. Like I'm showing them. And again, complete disinterest. They're huffing. They're telling me to hurry up. It's just this whole thing where I am the subject, and this is their fake reality show, and I'm not following the script. And then it starts raining, by the way. That was a funny part. It starts raining, and so we're standing outside this dumpster in the rain. They tell me, you need to call your developer again. And I say, no, I'm not going to do that. He's going to call when he's going to call. Like, what, is there anything else left for us to do? Do you guys need anything else? And they actually literally encircle me. Like I have the videographer guy, the video lady, and the Wall Street. Like they're on all sides of me going, listen, if there's something you need to tell us, now is the time. And this is so stupid because it's all over like this stupid storefront name. And they've built it up into this huge thing. God knows what they're even theorizing. Like I can't even imagine being in their heads, like what they're even thinking. Like, so I was like, look, you guys have been scripting this whole thing like a fake reality show this whole time. This is clearly about the food. This is not about books. You don't care about that at all. You want to do a story on Amazon sellers selling food to an unsuspecting public who then consumes the food not knowing the food is from a dumpster. That's the story you want. Just so we're clear, just so you know that I know. So is there anything else you need from me? And now that I had basically laid bare their whole scheme, they basically just admitted to it. They're like, actually, yeah, the last thing we need is footage of you listing the food for sale on Amazon and actually going live. We need to document the entire process, and then we'll be happy. They literally spelled it out. This is what, people talk about fake news. Like this is actually, I'm witnessing this fake news right in front of me. They're telling me what their agenda is, what their editor needs, and they're asking me to conform my actions to fit what their editor needs. And so they have their clickbait story of Amazon customers unknowingly buying food from dumpsters. Like this is literally just spelling it out for me. And so they're telling me as part of this agenda, they need footage of me. And I'm realizing, this is what all this is about. They needed to go inside my Amazon account to like, they really wanted me to footage of me in the Starbucks earlier, listing the baby food for sale. So they would have their big gotcha scandal moment that would drive a bunch of clicks on the internet and be a big story, right? That's what all this was about. So now that we're all clear and you just spelled out for me what you need, anything else we do is going to be wasting your time. So let's just retreat. And when my developer calls me. And when I get back into my account, then we'll meet up and we will list this food for sale on Amazon, which, by the way, at this point, I had zero intention of doing. None. Now, I was already out at this point. Now, it would be convenient for me to, take the morally righteous ground and say, I was done with these reporters because they were scripting a fake news story. I want no part of it. I can't honestly say that because I knew the game I was playing. Even going into this, I knew, the news is fake, right? Like I've talked to reporters before. I know how this goes. I know they had an agenda. I didn't know what it was. Now I do. That wasn't exactly the main reason I wanted out all this. The main reason is they were just talking down to me. They were just condescending. They were treating me like I was in their way. I was, even though I was donating a massive amount of my time to their story, I was basically in their way, and they needed me to get their story, get their headline, to appease their editor. And when there was a little bit of friction, they started treating me like schoolyard bullies on the school ground. Like I was just I was a nerd on the playground to push around. You guys don't know me in this context, but my style is definitely like when that limit gets hit where I feel like I've been being talked down to or not treated well. Most people would then push back and they're like, you disrespect me, I'll disrespect you. Like I am not that way at all. My mode is to eject. Anytime I feel like I'm disrespected, I just remove myself from the conversation with no thoughts about it. And it doesn't matter how awkward it is for the average person. I have no qualms about walking away. My most recent ex-girlfriend said, TMI, says that I have like an avoidant communication style. So I will just walk away from anything. So I'm like, at this point, walking away. But, I don't want to tell them that. So I just like, all right, well, when I get my developer calls me back, we'll meet back up and we'll get you your footage. And so that was that. So we all leave and they go back to their hotel room and I go back to wherever I'm going, just about my day. And this is where the phone call recording comes in. So I decided to call this reporter instead of just like stand them up and just not respond or just kind of ghost them. I decided I was actually just going to call this reporter up and just explain to her why I was completely done with it. And it would have been very easy for me at this point to just get my store name changed, reconvene with them, get them the footage they want, and we would all just move on. Like that would have been probably the easy way out, but I was just fed up with them. So I called her, and I'll play this recording for you in a second. And I basically my agenda here was basically just to explain to her why I was ejecting myself from this whole story. What's crazy about this recording is I didn't even know this existed. So when I was going to tell this story on YouTube, when the New York Times article ran, and I was like, oh, I should tell that story about the Wall Street Journal. I started to think about it, and I was like, well, I do all business on a Google Voice number, which is sort of like having like a phone inside your phone. I probably talked to them entirely on Google Voice, and Google Voice by default records all phone calls. It's just like the default setting. So I was like, what are the odds that recording still exists? That would be crazy. This is 6 years ago. That'd be crazy that it still existed. So I went and like Google, I was like looking at, there's the recording, I found it. So I didn't even know this existed until like literally today. So this will be kind of interesting. I listened to it for the first time and it was, so what I'm gonna do is play a couple clips for you so you can kind of, I'm gonna edit this, but I'm not gonna edit in a way that like makes me look better or them look worse. I'm just gonna edit it for clarity and for the sake of brevity because the phone call was like 15 minutes long. Let me roll a couple clips here.
Hello?
Hi, you awake?
Yes, I'm awake. Working on a different story.
So when I spoke to you initially on the phone, we were talking a couple times before you came out here. I was very, very, very upfront that I don't sell food very often. I've sold it inconsistently. It amounts to a very, very small percentage of what I sell. And then when you came out here, you understood that. And then when you came out here, one of the first things we did is I sat you down with my seller account. And I logged in. And I said, full transparency. I said, hey, anything you want, you just tell me. And you ask questions, and I clicked on things and searched for things. And we started to drive around, and we went to a book dumpster, and it was clear, even though you knew my business was books, it was very clear that you weren't interested in that, and you wanted food, which was weird because I was very upfront that that's not my business. So it definitely felt like a bait and switch. And we did that, and I was, had the issue where I got locked out of my account. There's something weird where you need me to click one button on camera or you're willing to throw away the whole story is very suspicious to me. So I'm trying to figure out what that is.
Okay, well, I mean, like, I'm definitely not trying to set you up for anything. Like, it's just not how I operate.
So got off the phone, and that was that. Never talked to them again. And what's even crazy, a crazy epilogue to this, is the story actually ran. It just ran without me being in it. They actually did a mini documentary. I just wasn't in it. I don't understand this at all. I'll put the article up right here. Somehow they took my idea, which is, remember I talked about dumpster diving at Trader Joe's and reselling products? I was very clear with the reporters that if I was going to dumpster dive food, that it would be from Trader Joe's. That, I guess, planted the idea in her head that Trader Joe's was the place to go to. So she goes and somehow finds another Amazon seller. Supposedly, this whole thing could be completely fake for all I know. Finds another Amazon seller who then they went out with a film crew and dumpster dived at Trader Joe's. Like, they literally took my idea. Not that it's like I invented it, but I'm 100% sure that's not a coincidence. They then go and do a documentary about dumpster diving at Trader Joe's after we had this whole conversation, and then did an article, and the whole thing was insane. And apparently, as a result of this article, Amazon changed their terms of service to prohibit reselling products from the trash. Crazy. So I guess I had something to do with that. So if you get banned from Amazon, if you get banned from Amazon for reselling dumpster dive products, I guess in some, you trace it back far enough, I'm actually responsible. It's my fault. So that was that. The lessons here, you guys. Yes, the news is completely fake. Don't ever give reporters more than like an hour of your time. I talked to the New York Times guy for an hour. I absolutely regret the entire, whatever was it, I don't know, cumulatively like 6 hours I spent with the Wall Street Journal people. And apparently in some small possible way, I'm responsible for dumpster dive products being banned from being sold on Amazon. So that's the lesson, you guys. Hope you guys like that story. It was a crazy one. It was too hard for me to talk about for a while because I was kind of bitter about the whole thing, but here we are. And I go check out my article, the one I just quoted in the New York Times, where they handle things much better, even though it's one quote. It's kind of a cool article. Check it out. Thank you guys. This is Peter Valley signing off, and I'll see you in the next video.